everybody, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Anna, and welcome to week 9 of Becoming a Fantasy Expert. And of course, like I said before, I am continuing my reread of The Magician of Raymond E. Feist. And I know I've mentioned this before, but in the Portuguese editions, the publisher decided to divide the first book into two, so this is technically, the second part of The Magician. And I do have a lot of things to say, and honestly, I remember enjoying this book so freaking much back in 2019, which was the first time I read it, and honestly, I love it still, okay? I know it doesn't hold up to the same standards. I know I've read a lot of things that are way, way better than this book, but I still enjoy my time reading this. I still get some goosebumps. I still get angry. I still have, feelings and expressions when I'm reading this book, so that makes me, and that leaves me very, very happy. So Pug has become, one of these black cloaks magicians from the Snotty world, which means that he is very, very respected, and I was so, amazed by how fast he adapted to his lifestyle. He adapted very, very fast. It wasn't strange to him to be almost revered or to have, his orders performed without any sort of question, because the Snotty people do not question the black cloaks. They see them as almost gods because of how, much power they have. These people are magicians. They are very powerful magicians, and Pug is one of them. Even though he is from Midkemia and he's not really Tsunade, the Tsunade people still, pledge allegiance to him. They still worship him in any way, shape, or form. And the way just Pug adapted to this new lifestyle of just ordering people around, and people just do not question him. They do not question him. They're like, yes, my lord, we shall do whatever you say, whatever your orders are. If you tell me to die right here, I will die right here. And like I said, just the way Pug adapted himself to all of this is amazing. And of course, we get to see more and more of how Pug is cunning, of how Pug is truly smart. And what I like about his main character is that he's not a Gary Stu. He doesn't know about everything. He doesn't know everything. He is very good at one thing, and that is magic. That is what he's good at. When it comes to fighting, swords, or even, a little bit of a political context, he is smart, and he does make good assumptions, but he's not the smartest in the room, if you know what I mean. But when it comes to magic, he absolutely knows everything, and we get to see how smart he truly is, and just how he can understand magic to its very core, which is astounding, because in the beginning of the book, he had a lot of difficulty performing magic. He just could not make any spells whatsoever at Midkemia, and now he can perform all sorts of spells. Not everything, not all of the spells, but he can perform so many spells, and he is literally one of the most powerful magicians in the entire world. And we have quite a few, plot twists in this story. So the first one that I was so shocked when I read this for the first time, Pug has a son. Like, I was so shocked. I know, of course, I told you guys that he was with Katala, and he is with Katala, although he was, taken to be a black cloak, and he hasn't seen her for 5 years. But she got pregnant, and he has a son. And to me, that was just so, I was so amazed, because I'm not used to reading about protagonists having children. So when he came, when he asked to see Katala again, this family where he was a slave before, he went back because he wanted to see her again. And she's like, well, here's your son. And he's just like, what? Like, I have a son? Like, what do you mean? And his name is William, which is the sweetest name, because she really wanted to give him a Midkemian name, just to honor his father. And it's the sweetest name. But I was really, shocked. I was like, oh my god, Pug has a kid. Like, he is not a child anymore. Like, I knew he wasn't a child. Like, he's probably, 25 something, but still having a child, I was shocked. And also, this family where he was a slave before, they are the most reasonable Tsunade in this entire empire. Like I said, they love gore, they love war, they love bloodshed, glory, all those type of things, and they do not settle for anything but victory. But this clan is actually understanding, no, this war has to end. This war has been going on for 9 years, and we have gotten nowhere. Like, we have only brought death and destruction to our own empire and to their empire. Like, let's just stop. And because of that, they have planned to have peace for a very long time. This family has been planning for, a peace treaty for years and years. They have played the game in order to get there. And I don't know, I was just so surprised. And I think this is a huge plot twist, because you're not expecting this from any Tsunade family, like I said, because of their culture, of how war-focused it is, of how honorable and victory and glory it is. So to have one family that is actually thinking about the consequences to their empire it was astounding to me. I was just, wow, like this family is truly weighing everything, the pros and the cons, and understanding that this war is going to end their empire unless they do something. And they're actually trying to work with their emperor in order to get a peace treaty, because even the emperor, he is known not to do much in the Tsunade Empire because he's seen as a god. So he's just this representation, and he doesn't really get into the political games. But this emperor is actually trying to meddle inside the political games and trying to face the warlord in order to stop this war as well. So I was very shocked to have a peace treaty being, planned out. And then we do have some POVs from Thomas' points of view, and it's bad, okay? It's really, really bad because he truly became a Valeru. And if in case you don't remember, a dragon gifted him an armor and a sword. And when he put that armor was cursed, okay? It was cursed, and he was being changed and becoming the person that wore that armor before him, which was one of the Valeru, a race that has been long gone from the kingdoms of Midkemia, but were known to enslave any sort of people that they could find. They were horrible creatures. They were also, just very war focused. They killed each other for no reason. It was just, they were horrendous, and they truly believed they were the strongest of them all. Like, they enslaved, for example, the elves, and they treated them very, very poorly. They could kill them anytime they wanted to, just because. So you could get the gist. They were just a very cruel people. And Thomas has been, kind of showing signs to becoming that entity. So he is becoming one of the Valeru, and he is really battling with the person that wore the armor previously, and he's losing that battle. Okay, he's losing that battle. He is becoming more violent, more aggressive. For example, I think it's Martin. Yes, it's Martin. Martin goes to him to try and help the elves, win this war as well. And when he goes there, he actually tells Thomas, like, Roland has been killed. And it's very, very sad because I feel so sorry for Caroline. She's actually handling his death pretty well, but he tells him, like, Roland is dead. And Thomas and Roland were good friends. And Thomas doesn't show, any sort of emotion. He's just like, okay, it is what it is. Like, he was weak, that's why he died. So you can truly tell that he is really battling against that other entity, and he's becoming aggressive towards everyone, towards his friends, towards the Queen of the Elves that he married. It's just horrible. And there is one peak moment where Martin is like, either you stop this cruelty, because they found I think it was 5 Tsunade slaves, and Thomas was just killing them one by one. Slaves, people that didn't know how to fight, and Martin was like, either you stop right now, or I'm going to have to kill you, because you have to pick a side, Thomas. Like, you cannot be a Valeru, you cannot be Thomas. You need to win this, otherwise we will have to put you down. And thankfully, Thomas, at the last minute, he actually wins the mental battle against the Valeru, and he becomes Thomas again. He sobs and sobs and sobs because of everything that he has lived, because he does, have the memories from his past self and all of the horrible things that he did Thomas, but the Valeru did in the past, and everything that he did right now in the present as well. It was just a very heartfelt and emotional moment, and I think Thomas is going to be fine, which it makes me very, very happy, because Thomas starts off by being such an extroverted and fun kid, and he changes so much, and he's almost like unrecognizable, and just seeing him in pain brought me a little bit of pain because of the kid that he used to be. So seeing him win this fight against the Valeru, honestly, relief. And in order, to establish the peace treaty, one of the sons from that family, I think it's the oldest son, he goes with Lori, which was Pug's friend when they were slaves, to Midkemia world to try and find the king and talk to him about the peace treaty. And you do see that Lori is a very kind person, because they go to a tavern to ask for food. And one of the, like I said before, the magicians in the Midkemian world are not, well seen. They are people are just very superstitious of them, and they are all almost beggars. So it's so funny, because the Tsunade soldier, he's looking at the way that the owner of the tavern is treating this beggar that is asking just for a little bit of food, horrified. He's like, oh my god, but he's a magician. Like, how dare you treat magicians this way? Like, how do you treat them in this world? And he was about to say something, and Lori was like, you can't say anything, don't say anything. This is just how, things are done here. But Lori is so nice, because he does buy a lot of food, and he gives the food to the poor, magician. And it's just so nice of him. And not only does he give food, but he also gives him, puts it in his pocket without the magician knowing, a bunch of precious stones. Because Tsunade people have a lot of precious stones. They have a lot of those stones, so he didn't mind. And it was just a very nice gesture coming from Lori, so you can tell that he is a very good person. But also, you can also tell that the king is crazy. This king is paranoid. He is insane. And he is actually, in favor of locking up the prince of Krondor. Like, now the political context is just crazy because now with the prince dead, the next in line is the Duke of Borg, the Duke of Crete. It's Borg and then his sons, Liam and Arutha, which they were not expecting at all. None of them have been, educated to become next in line to become the prince of Krondor. But it just happened because the king is so crazy, and it's insane to see it. It really is, because he's so paranoid. He genuinely thinks everyone is out to get him. Everyone is out to kill him. So you can't really count on the king for anything, literally. Like, anything related to the Tsunade, you cannot count on this king because he just believes everyone is out to get him. So the political context, it's very bad, okay? It's very, very bad. There's a lot of tension, and it's just not going to be good. Like, I know it's just not going to be good because of the Tsunade invasion. Like I said previously, they are planning on a big, big invasion with 10,000 soldiers. So I don't know what the hell is going to happen because King Roderick, he's gone. So not only King Roderick is, crazy in the head, we find out that Boric is actually dying, which is sad. He was with his older son, Liam, which is Arutha's brother, and they were fighting, in the front lines, trying to protect the kingdom, and he was severely wounded. He was fatally wounded, and he's slowly dying. And now, not even Boric, is in line. Now it's actually Liam. And Liam, he's just like, I'm going to be a prince. Like, I was supposed to, be the Duke of Crete, of the little village of Crete. How am I going to be a prince of Krondor, one of the biggest cities, only behind, the capital of Midkemia? Like, how is this going to happen? And he is so frightened, but it's just sad. I don't know. It was just a very big plot twist for me because I was not expecting, the Duke of Borg to actually die. I thought he was going to survive, but alas, I guess, nobody's safe. And then we have one of the greatest moments of this book, which is in the Tsunade world, they are having this competition. The warlord has decided to, just do this fun tournament where all of the Tsunade, nobles and all of the people join in this arena to watch people fight to their deaths. And Pug, he hates this. He does not think this is right. He just thinks the whole thing is disgusting to put a bunch of slaves, in the middle of the arena without, just with a sword. They don't even have armor. They don't have anything. They're just wearing, some cloth, and it's just hanging there, and they are so weak. They have barely eaten. They have barely drank any water, so they are very, very weak, and they're just expecting, okay, yeah, like, kill each other now. Let's make a good show. Lots of blood, lots of gore, because that's what the Tsunade people love. And Pug, he's just disgusted by all of this, and it's very hard for Pug because he's surrounded by Tsunade people, and all of the Tsunade people, they just think this is normal. This is normal. This is just, it is what it is. Being a slave, it is what it is. They will never have a better life, and this way they can actually die by the blade and still have their honor intact. Because if you remember, I did say, previously that the Tsunade people find dying by the blade a true honor, and dying by hanging the most disgraceful thing that can happen to them. Giving these slaves actually, the honor to die by the blade, to them is a mercy. It's amazing. It's the best thing that they could hope for. But Pug, he's just, like I said, he's very disturbed, and seeing everyone just cheering on, and even his closest friends from, the Magician Assembly here at the Tsunade, they are also, thriving on this. One of them actually enjoys these tournaments a lot, and he's betting, he's talking like, what are those people doing? Oh, that one is stupid. He's going to lose this battle. He's going to lose this fight, whatever. And it's just too much for Pug. And Pug, he just does not understand the indifference that the Tsunade people have towards lives. And he cracks. And he cracks when he sees, two different races at the tournament. He sees Midkemian slaves, and he also sees, a different race. I think they are the Thuriel. The Thuriel are a race that live in the Tsunade planet, in the same planet as the Tsunade, and the Tsunade people have been trying to colonize and conquer the Thuriel people for many, many years, but they have never succeeded. So what they decided to do was pit, the Thuriel people against the Midkemian people, and everyone was just so excited to see all of these actual warriors fighting, but they didn't. They, the Thuriel people went to the Midkemian people, and even though they don't know each other's language, they communicated, and they understood, let's just drop our weapons and not fight. Of course, you have the Tsunade, I'm gonna say guards at the Colosseum, whipping them, trying to force them to fight, but they're just not budging. They're just not going to fight. They don't want to, be a part of this show. And this is where, a lot of people are booing them. A lot of people are expecting a good show. Even the warlord is getting angry because he wanted to put on this tournament and this good show just so he could, get on the good side of other families, trying to tell them like, hey, like, I can still, I'm respectable and all that. And it's just not going well. It's not going well for the warlord, and he actually does say, like, okay, hang them. Hang them then. You don't want to die by the blade? Hang them. And this is where Pug is like, you know what? I'm done. I am done with this. I am done with everybody. And him as a Black Cloak, he actually goes to the warlord, and he's like, Stop this immediately, or you are going to suffer. Of course, the warlord, he's divided because it has never happened for, one of the black cloaks from, this magician assembly to face a warlord. That has never happened. And the warlord, he's a little bit like, do I obey? Because they are above the law. They are above me. So should I obey? Should I not obey? This has never happened before. So he's very, very confused. And Pug, he's like, you're not obeying? Okay, then, when you fuck around, you find out. And that's exactly what he did. The warlord found out because Pug, he just completely decimated the Colosseum. He used thunder. He used fire. He used earth, water. He did everything, the wind, everything. And he just destroyed everything, and he killed thousands and thousands of people. To me, it's just the best moment, okay? It's just the best moment because Pug was just fed up, and he always knew, like, I will never be a Tsunade. I cannot be a Tsunade people. I'm just never going to be. I'm not fully Midkemium as well, because I spend so much time here in the Tsunade world, but I'm also not a Tsunade, and I will never become one of them. And it was just so brave of him to see, and it's such an amazing moment to read about in this book. Like, I had, chills going down my spine. It was just amazing, and I promise you, it is the best part of this book. And now fast forward to the peace treaty. Pug has returned to Midkemia because of what he did. He has to run away. He's like, okay, I cannot face the entire magician assembly by myself. I'm going to be killed. So he goes back and he runs away to Midkemia with his wife and with his child. And he actually goes to meet Lord Boric, and Lord Boric is dying. And his last words, we actually find out what Lord Boric had installed for him. Because remember, when Pug saved Carline, all those years back from the trolls, Lord Boric told him, when you're 18 years old and when you're of age, I have something for you. And now that something is revealed, and it's a magic school. And it's such an emotional moment because, like I said, in Midkemia, people do not respect magic. And Lord Boric has said, I have seen what magic can do. It is such a talent. We are mistreating it. We are misusing it. There is so much potential in magic. And I want you and Master Colgan to open up a magic school. And it was such a heartwarming moment because Pug got emotional. Even Master Colgan got emotional because he didn't know anything about it. And just, it was such an emotional moment. And even Boric, he actually gave Pug, because he is an orphan, the name Condoin, his last surname. It's like he adopted him, and Lord Borg said, like, if you were one of my children, I would be so proud of you. And it's just, I don't know, like, it's just such an emotional moment for Pug. And unfortunately, Lord Borg does pass away, but he passes away, surrounded by his friends and family. But oh wait, actually, before he passes away, he actually does do something that is very noble of him. We already knew that Martin was his oldest son, but he does tell Liam, Martin is your older brother, and I have to recognize him, and he has witnesses around him that recognized and that heard what he said, and then he passes away. And it's just a huge revelation because now it's a little bit, okay, Martin is a bastard, but is he in line for the throne of Krondor? Like, is he going to become the prince? We don't know. And it's just this whole thing, but Liam doesn't really have time to think about it because King Roderick is here. Hello, the crazy king is here. And he does fight against the Tsunade because there is, a skirmish, and he is fatally wounded. His head is open, so he's also going to die, which means that Liam is no longer in line to become the prince of Krondor. He is in line to become the king of the entire kingdom of Midkemia. And Arutha is in line to become the prince of Krondor. And this is when, the problem of Martin arises because Liam is like, he is the oldest son. Like, he is a bastard, but he's still my oldest brother. I can't take his place. What if Martin is going to become the king? What if Martin wants to become the king? He has that right. And it's just this whole thing, the political context. It's just a mess, okay? Everything is a mess in Midkemia. And that is it for this first update. That is all that I've read until now. And I am very, very close to finishing this book. I am, look at this. Like, this is all I have left. So it is very, very little. And like I said, I'm having such a blast. Like, I'm having so much fun rereading this book. Like I said, does it hold up? It doesn't. Okay, it really doesn't. It doesn't really hold up. But I am having so much fun with this. I love annotating it. Just seeing how the author crafts everything and how, he had crumbs from since the beginning. He had some foreshadowing. You don't have that much foreshadowing now because it is normal. We are getting to the end of the part. We are getting to the climax of everything. In my opinion, I think the climax was truly what Pug did at the Colosseum. It was just, there was so much rising action for Pug to do that. It didn't come out of nowhere. It just came out from the fact that the Tsunade people are destroying themselves. They are destroying their own empire by being so stagnant, because even Pug says, you are stagnant. You don't innovate. You don't do anything new. You hold traditions so high in your values that you don't innovate. You don't try anything new. There's no art, no poems, nothing. Everything that you do, you just memorize what you've done before. So that really enraged Pug. It's such an amazing people with so much culture, with so much potential, just kind of throwing it all away in just a name of tradition. And not only that, like I said, the way that they just treat the human lives and the way that they see people in their own lives, Pug was just sick of it. And having that peak and just it was amazing. Okay, that was the climax of this book in my opinion, because now we do have some resolutions, and I think the peace treaty is going to go very, very well. Of course it does. It has to go well. So I am just, very excited to do this. I am loving studying fantasy and just seeing how the author, like I said, crafted everything and has done everything for this book. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to read more today because it is the month of October, which means that this is the last month that I do have to finish my thesis and submit it. And of course, my thesis is done, but I am, just trying to put in the final details. So I do want to pour all of my focus on my thesis because I'm tired of this, okay? I'm so tired of this. If you have done, your master's thesis, please tell me I'm not the only one. I am sick of this. I am so sick of this. It started out fine. I was motivated. I was just, oh my God, learning about this new subject. This is so cool. I'm done. Like, when I tell you that I'm done, I am so done with this. I'm tired,
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
I can study fantasy books every day. Every day. It is so much fun. I love reading fantasy. I love reading books, but reading, educational books, like academic books, like actual, not even dark academia, like actual academic books. No, it's not for me. I'm done. Like, I'm so tired. So I just really want to focus on that. And today is just going to be one of those afternoons where I'm just going to lock in and I'm just going to try my very hardest to finish this as soon as possible, because I also want to enjoy Halloween with no stress at all. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing today. I'm just going to focus on my thesis, but I am going to, of course, give you guys an update still this week, because I am planning on finishing this book reread this week. I don't want to drag it, a lot more, because I've dragged this challenge for more than 6 months already, and I don't want to drag it more. But yeah, I will see you guys on my next update. to give you guys my final update on The Magician because I finally finished rereading it. But before I do anything, I don't think I've showed you yet, but I think I told you last week in last week's video that I was going to an anime convention, and I already went, and I absolutely loved it. I had the time of my life. It was so much fun. And for the first time, I actually bought something, and I have to show you, okay? I have to show you. I'm actually wearing it right now. It's just these cute earrings. Look at these, please. This one is one of those creatures from Princess Mononoke, and of course, no face. Like, look at them. They are adorable, I swear. Like, they are just so cute. They're one of the most adorable things, and I absolutely love this purchase. Like, I do not regret this at all. Now let me see if I can, put them back in. Especially this one, because for some reason, this ear, I really do have, a lot of difficulty in putting back my earrings, but okay, they're done, they're put, and I just wanted to show you guys because I love Studio Ghibli. I think all of you also love Studio Ghibli. I haven't met anyone that doesn't like Studio Ghibli, so of course I had to get some earrings inspired by Studio Ghibli. I do regret not buying the Calcifer ones, and I don't know, I just didn't feel like buying at the time. I don't know why. I think it was because I didn't want to spend more money because I knew I would feel guilty if I did, but they weren't even that expensive because these are made, by hand. They are made of clay, and they cost me 12 euros, which in my opinion, that is not expensive at all. Calcifer, it was a little bit more expensive. It was 14, but nothing, major. I do regret it. I do regret it a little bit, but maybe next year she's going to be there. And if I see those earrings, I am taking them with me because I am absolutely in love with these earrings. I'm always looking at myself in the mirror. I just feel so good. But anyways, let's go back to the video and let's talk about The Magician because like I said, I did finish rereading this and oh my god, the ending, it's just, as I remember, I loved it. It was so explosive. And the first thing that I do want to talk about is the political tension because, and like I said in my previous update, the Tsunade people are, meeting for peace and everything seems to go well. Everything seems to go well. The Emperor is in Midkemia. He's going to meet with Liam because now he is the king, at least for now. They need someone to lead, so they chose Liam. And they're going to meet, but something, horrible is going to happen because Makrush, which is the magician from the Midkemian world, one of the greatest magicians of all time, the one that helped the elves defend their lands, he told Thomas, in this day, the peace treaty is going to be signed. I need you and the elves and the dwarves to attack the Tsunade people. And Thomas is like, why? This is a peace treaty. I'm not going to be the one breaking the peace. Yes, you are. Basically, this is what Makrush tells him. You have to do this for, a greater good. And we don't really know what the greater good is. There is a lot of foreshadowing. Although you can assume who it is. It might be the, the enemy that the Tsunade people are running away from because it is spoken about. So we already know that the meeting for the peace treaty is not going to go well, and it doesn't. It's a disaster. Thomas, the elves, and the dwarves attack the Tsunade people. Of course, the Tsunade people are like, you guys are traitors. We are never, ever, 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 going to sign a peace treaty with you again. We are never going to forgive you. We are going to chase you down and we're going to kill you all until you are ash. You and your kingdom are ash. And unfortunately that does not happen because they do run away through the portal, and Makrush, with the help of Pug, they do end up closing the portal because that's what Makrush wanted all along, because he does tell Pug, I'm not going to survive this ordeal. I need a lot of power in order to close this portal, so please go to my island, the one that you visited when you were a little boy. Go to my island and all of the answers are going to be there. And when they get there, Pug, Colgan, and Narutha, they get into, inside his office and they read a letter, and in fact it was the enemy. He said, the Tsunade people have forgotten that the enemy can detect portals, and he, was going to detect this portal one way or another, and he was going to invade Midkemia, and we were all going to lose. Like, there was just no way to win against such an evil force. That's why I had to close the portal. That's why I did what I did. I'm not proud of it. I did not want to do it, but it had to be done. So you do understand this greater good. And although the Tsunade people, everything is solved, there's no more, alien race trying to invade Midkemia, you do still have a lot of political tension because now Liam understands, okay, Martin is, my older brother. He is the one that should be crowned king, and there are a lot of choices to be made. And Liam, he finally tells Arutha what his father has confessed to him. And Arutha, he's mad. He's angry. Not just because Liam hid this from him, but also there could be a civil war. Because if Martin accepts the crown, people might not want a bastard child to be the king. So they might revolt. There might be a civil war. And Arutha, we see him as this very cold person in the beginning, but you do see a very, compassionate side that he has. He's very nice. But you get to see his cold side again because Arutha literally tells Liam, if Martin wants that crown and he demands that crown and wants to be king, I will kill him. I will kill him because I'm not going to let him ruin everything for Midkemia. I'm not going to let a civil war happen when we had war for 9 years. We have to rebuild. There's no choice. There is no way that I'm going to accept Martin to create a civil war. So as you can tell, there's just a lot of political tension in this book. But at the end, you know, Martin, he does think about it a lot. And all he wanted was just to be recognized by his father. He just wanted his father's love, nothing else. Because he knew all along, like, he has always known that he was, you know, the Duke's son. But he never used it against anyone. He never used that information to get what he wanted, to climb to power. He has never done anything of that sort. So you do see that Martin, he is a very good person. He's a very good man. He's very honorable. And so is Liam. Liam is so honorable because he's like, no, Arutha, Martin is the oldest. He is the oldest. By law, he is the one that has to be the king. I am not going to pretend that he does not exist. I can't do that because Arutha could. Arutha was like, just pretend he doesn't exist. Like, nobody needs to know. But Liam was like, no, everyone needs to know. And he's going to have a fair chance. And, you know, when they are at this assembly, at this council to choose the king, everyone is just so shocked because nobody believed. They were kind of like, oh my god, that's just a rumor. And then when they all saw Martin actually go to the front, everyone was just shocked. You know, jaws were on the floor. Everyone just, you know, everyone just stopped breathing. Everyone was just so still. But Martin, he did the right thing and he said, you know what, I don't want to be king. And I don't want to say he did the right thing because, of course, he had all the right to demand being king, but he never wanted to. And I think it would be very strange if all of a sudden he said, oh my god, yes, I want to be king. So everything ended well. Liam is the king, Arutha is the prince, and Martin is actually the new Duke of Creed, which is so cute. I don't know why. I just think it's so cute. And this is how it ends. And I'm very, very excited to read the second book in this trilogy. I think it's Silverthorn because Arutha is the main character. And honestly, I don't know if you know this about me, but Arutha, to this day, is still my favorite book boyfriend. I just love Arutha. I don't know why. There's just something about that man. He is the mysterious man, you know, and I think it's because it was one of the first fantasy books that I read that had, you know, this fantasy man that is very mysterious, that has dark hair, dark eyes, and, you know, he just looks evil and mean, and I think that's why. Okay, I think that's why, but I am so excited to read Silverthorn, but I did love my reread of this. Now, does it have its problems? Of course it does. I don't think this first book in a trilogy is perfect. It is not. I think sometimes the author repeated himself way too much with the writing. I also think that the main focus on the enemy, you know, this really evil entity, should have been a little bit more. I think the author should have given a little bit more focus to it. That's what ruined the peace treaty between the Tsunade people and the Midkemian people. It was this sort of like entity, evil enemy that is coming to Midkemia that the Tsunade people were running away from. And we just never heard of him. It was just kind of like, okay, this is why the Tsunade people are trying to conquer Midkemia. And it was never talked about. And then here at the end, oh, it's because of this. I don't know. I just feel like we should have learned a little bit more, especially because Pug became such a great magician and he saw that part of history from the Tsunade people, because the Tsunade people weren't actually born in that planet. Thousands of years back, you know, before they were at Kelawan, I think that is the name of the planet, it's Kelawan. They came from somewhere else. So they had already, you know, in their past generations faced this enemy. So I think there should have been a little bit more, you know, knowledge and lore about this enemy, which there wasn't, and that's fine, that's okay. And of course the characters can feel a little bit, you know, stereotypy, like a caricature, but I still love this book, and I love the way that the author, you know, he just exposed the world building through meetings, and certain characters were, you know, okay, Colgan is for magic, and Ruth is going to be for Creed, Thomas is going to be for the elves and the dwarves. I just really like that division, and I do think that it was very well achieved. So I would highly recommend you guys, if you haven't, you know, read a lot of fantasy and you do want to start reading high fantasy, please give, you know, The Magician by Raymond E a chance. It's very classic fantasy. You know, you've seen these tropes before, but that's why it's such a good beginner fantasy series for you to start, because it is so familiar. So I would highly recommend this book if you are just starting high fantasy. And that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoy, you know, this fantasy expert series, because I love filming it. I love studying this. It is so much fun. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does help my channel out a lot, and it gives me a lot of motivation and validation to continue filming these videos for you guys. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!